Ryan and Marissa Elwood looked like the perfect couple until one night. He found her Facebook password. Days later, Ryan vanished without a trace, and Marissa claimed he walked out. But a hidden camera, a trail of deleted messages, and a single line, "It's finally over," revealed a chilling truth. This is the story of a husband's quiet suspicion, a wife's deadly secret, and the moment love turned into murder. Ryan and Marissa Elwood lived in a quiet neighborhood just outside Charleston, South Carolina. Their home sat at the end of a tree-lined street, surrounded by well-kept lawns and friendly neighbors who often waved hello but rarely pried. To anyone on the outside, the Elwoods were a typical suburban couple. Ryan, 35, was a respected high school history teacher known for his patience and calm demeanor. Marissa, 33, ran a small home-based candle business and spent most of her time online promoting her brand. Through social media, they had been married for 8 years and had a 6-year-old son named Henry, who was the center of their world, family. Photos lined their hallway, filled with smiles, beach vacations, and birthday cakes. Their Facebook pages showed weekend barbecues, romantic date nights, and captions that read like something out of a greeting card. Friends described them as stable, loving, and normal. But beneath the polished surface, cracks had started to form. Ryan had begun noticing subtle shifts in Marissa's behavior. She was glued to her phone more than usual, often smiling at messages she never shared. She stayed up late claiming she had candle orders to fulfill. But Ryan never saw any packages going out the next day. She kept her phone on silent and turned away when he entered the room. When he casually asked who she was talking to, she dismissed him, saying it was just customers or marketing contacts. Ryan wasn't confrontational. He didn't believe in invading her privacy, but something didn't sit right. Their conversations grew shorter, colder. She stopped asking about his day, stopped sitting next to him during movie nights, and the warmth that had once defined their marriage seemed to fade, replaced by distance and silence. He tried brushing it off, telling himself that maybe the stress of parenting and running a small business was wearing on her. But the feeling wouldn't leave him. It got worse when he caught her lying. One night, she said she was working in the guest room on a new candle line. Ryan knocked gently to ask if she wanted tea, but the room was dark and Marissa was nowhere inside. He found her outside on the back porch, whispering into her phone. When he asked who she was talking to, she looked startled, then angry, snapping that she needed privacy. That night, something shifted in Ryan. He couldn't shake the gut feeling that Marissa was hiding something. Not just stress or unhappiness, something intentional. He remembered a time when they used to share passwords freely. Years earlier, when trust had never been questioned. On impulse, he tried an old password she used for her email. When that didn't work, he tried a variation of their son's birthday. It worked. Her Facebook account opened in front of him, and what he found inside turned his entire world upside down. In that moment, the life he thought he had, the marriage he believed in, and the woman he trusted began to unravel before his eyes. The moment Ryan accessed Marissa's Facebook account, his entire perception of their marriage shattered. The screen lit up with dozens of unread conversations, most of them with a man named Colin Myers. At first, Ryan wasn't sure who he was, but the frequency and tone of the messages quickly made it clear. Colin wasn't a client, business partner, or friend. He was something far more intimate. Their chat history went back months, filled with private jokes, late-night confessions, and expressions of affection. The messages were romantic and, at times, explicit. Marissa had told Colin that he made her feel alive again, that he understood her in ways Ryan never did, and that she couldn't wait to be with him for real. Ryan scrolled through the long exchange, his stomach turning. Marissa had shared details about their marriage, twisting everyday frustrations into bitter complaints. She had called Ryan controlling, dull, and emotionally suffocating. It hurt more than any betrayal he could have. Imagine not just the affair, but how she spoke about him to someone else. She even joked about how easy it was to lie to him, to pretend everything was fine while she made other plans. What disturbed Ryan most wasn't the cheating, it was the hints that something darker might be brewing. In one message, Marissa wrote, "I just wish I could wipe the slate clean." Colin replied, "One day we'll be free. No baggage." Another message from Marissa, sent just 2 weeks earlier, read, "Sometimes I think the only way out is if he disappears. I hate feeling trapped." These weren't just emotional outbursts, they sounded like veiled intentions. Ryan took screenshots of everything. He needed to confront her, but also protect himself. He backed up the messages to an external drive, stored the drive in a drawer at work, and spent the next day trying to decide what to do. He was heartbroken, but more than that, he felt unsafe. The woman he'd married, trusted, and shared a life with had grown into someone he no longer recognized. He didn't know what she was capable of anymore. That evening, Ryan chose to confront her. He waited until their son was asleep and calmly told her what he had discovered. Marissa didn't deny it. She was caught. What followed was a heated argument, intense, emotional, and unlike anything their home had ever witnessed. The calm, polite couple from across the street was gone. In their place were two people who no longer trusted each other, no longer knew each other. Ryan made it clear that he would be seeking legal help and full custody of their son. He said he couldn't stay in a house where he felt threatened and betrayed. Marissa said little. Her face was unreadable, her body language cold. Ryan believed the worst was over, that the damage had been done, and now they would separate, slowly and painfully. But what he didn't know was that Marissa had already decided the future she wanted, and in it, Ryan had no place. When Ryan didn't show up to work the next morning, his colleagues grew concerned. He was known for his punctuality and professionalism. A missed class without warning was out of character. By noon, the school had called his cell phone several times, each attempt going straight to voicemail. Messages went unanswered. His sister, who lived nearby, also couldn't reach him. By the following day, concern had grown into panic. Marissa told those who asked that Ryan had left after a serious argument and hadn't come back. She said he had taken some clothes and left in the middle of the night, possibly to stay with a friend or clear his head. She filed a missing person report 2 days later, telling police that Ryan had been emotionally unstable and had recently talked about leaving everything behind. She hinted that he had been acting erratically and might have chosen to walk away from their marriage and responsibilities. At first, investigators treated it as a voluntary disappearance. There were no signs of forced entry, no struggle, no immediate red flags. Ryan's car, however, was still parked in the driveway, and his wallet and phone were found on his nightstand. That raised suspicions. If he had left suddenly, why would he leave behind everything he needed? Marissa allowed police to search the house but kept her story vague. She said Ryan was angry about something but refused to admit it had anything to do with the Facebook messages. She claimed not to know who Colin Myers was. When questioned further, she said Ryan had grown paranoid and accused her of things that weren't true. She told them he had slapped her during their argument and that she feared he had stormed off in a rage. Neighbors didn't support her version of events. 2 of them reported hearing loud arguing from the Elwood home late that night, followed by what sounded like something heavy being dragged across the floor. One neighbor said they saw the garage light on around 2 a.m., which was unusual. Another recalled seeing Marissa alone the next morning, calmly tending to her garden as if nothing had happened. Police grew increasingly uneasy. They searched the house again, this time focusing on the garage and backyard. No blood was found, but parts of the garage floor looked recently scrubbed. A strong chemical odor still lingered. Investigators took samples for testing. When they asked Marissa about the smell, she said she had cleaned up after a broken bottle of candle wax and bleach. Marissa cooperated just enough to avoid suspicion, but offered little help. She cried during interviews but showed no real distress. She kept referring to Ryan in the past tense, even though he was only listed as missing. When detectives asked to see her phone, she claimed it had fallen into the bathtub earlier that week and no longer worked. That excuse didn't sit well with investigators. What she didn't know was that Ryan had taken screenshots of her Facebook account and backed them up. His sister found the flash drive at his workplace during a visit to his desk. She turned it over to the police, and with it, the case transformed from a missing persons report to something far more sinister. Once police had the flash drive from Ryan's workplace, everything changed. The screenshots told a story Marissa hadn't shared, a digital trail of betrayal, resentment, and subtle hints at premeditated violence. Investigators now had proof that she had been having an online affair with Colin Myers, that she had expressed feeling trapped, and had made multiple comments about Ryan being an obstacle to her happiness. These weren't just venting messages. Some were direct enough to raise red flags, such as her saying she sometimes imagined a life where he was just gone, or that she could start fresh without him, combined with Ryan's sudden disappearance. These messages took on a far darker tone. Police obtained a warrant to search Marissa's digital records, though she claimed her phone had been damaged. Forensic technicians were able to extract fragments from her cloud backups and social media accounts. They uncovered deleted conversations that continued after Ryan's disappearance. The most damning one came from just a day after he vanished. In a message to Colin, Marissa wrote, "It's finally over. No more lies, no more fear. I'm ready." When Colin responded with confusion and concern, she quickly changed the subject. It became clear that Colin had not been part of any plan and was unaware of what Marissa may have done. At this point, police searched the Elwood property for a third time, this time bringing in specialized equipment and dogs trained to detect human remains. In the garage, under a shelving unit and a stack of boxes, they found trace amounts of blood. Chemical testing revealed it was a match for Ryan. The floor beneath the stain had been scrubbed, but not well enough. Investigators believed that Ryan had likely been attacked there, possibly while confronting Marissa about the affair. But the final piece of the puzzle came from an overlooked security measure. Weeks before his disappearance, Ryan had installed a motion-sensitive camera in the garage, intending to keep an eye on tools after a small break-in in the neighborhood. The footage had been stored to a secure cloud service, one Marissa likely didn't even know existed. The recovered footage was grainy, but it told the story clearly. Around 1:47 a.m. on the night Ryan disappeared, the camera recorded movement, a figure dragging a large object wrapped in what appeared to be a comforter or tarp across the garage floor. Minutes later, that same figure matching Marissa's height and build was seen opening the trunk of a vehicle and struggling to lift the heavy load. She drove off in Ryan's car at 2:03 a.m., returning an hour later on foot, carrying a flashlight. The footage was enough. Marissa was arrested at her home in front of her stunned son, who was taken into protective custody. During questioning, she remained silent and demanded a lawyer. The weight of the evidence was undeniable. Ryan hadn't left. He had been killed in his own home by someone he loved and hidden under the cover of night. The woman who once shared his life had not only taken it, but tried to erase all traces of his existence. Marissa Elwood's trial began 10 months after her arrest, drawing national attention and a media frenzy that transformed a quiet suburban tragedy into a widely watched courtroom drama. She was charged with first-degree murder, tampering with evidence, and obstruction of justice. Prosecutors argued that she had methodically planned Ryan's death, driven by resentment and a desire to escape her marriage to start a new life with her online lover. They presented a jury with a clear, disturbing timeline, one filled with digital footprints, secret messages, and cold calculations. The most powerful evidence came from Ryan himself. His decision to save screenshots of Marissa's Facebook messages revealed her growing contempt and her repeated hints about wanting him gone. Coupled with the motion-activated garage footage, the prosecution painted a vivid picture. Ryan had uncovered the affair and confronted Marissa, and in the hours that followed, she acted on thoughts she had previously only expressed in private conversations. The forensic evidence, blood traces in the garage, the chemical cleaning attempts, and Ryan's body found buried off a rural highway all supported the theory of a premeditated killing. Colin Myers, the man from the Facebook messages, testified. As a key witness, he appeared visibly shaken and expressed deep regret over his involvement, though he maintained that he had no idea Marissa was planning anything violent. He described their conversations as emotionally intense, but insisted he never encouraged her to harm her husband. In fact, he said he had grown uncomfortable with her obsession and had tried to pull away weeks before Ryan's death. Marissa's defense team struggled to mount a credible explanation. They suggested that the killing had not been premeditated, but was the result of a heated argument turned tragic. They claimed Marissa had acted in self-defense, though there was no evidence Ryan had been violent toward her. No bruises, no signs of struggle, and no history of domestic abuse. The jury remained unconvinced. Her lack of emotion during the trial, her calm demeanor after Ryan went missing, and the fact that she continued messaging Colin even after the murder, all painted a picture of someone disturbingly detached from the gravity of her actions. After less than a day of deliberation, the jury returned a unanimous verdict: guilty on all counts. Marissa Elwood was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. She showed no reaction as the sentence was read, staring ahead as if disconnected from the consequences of her choices. Ryan's family, seated in the front row, held hands and wept not from victory, but from the irreversible loss they had suffered. Their son, Henry, was placed in the custody of Ryan's sister, who vowed to raise him in a home filled with honesty and healing. He would grow up knowing the truth about what happened, but also about the kind of man his father was: loyal, kind, and undeserving of the fate he met. In the end, the case served as a sobering reminder: behind the filtered photos and cheerful posts of social media, the truth can be much darker, and sometimes it takes the smallest action, a discovered password, a hidden camera, for that truth to finally come to light.